Do you dread getting stuck in conversations with certain people? I think we all know them. Those people who dominate conversations, monopolize it, or those who keep dead silent and don't contribute a thing. We don't want to be those people. So today we're going to look at the art of being a great conversationalist. I have 3 key areas we're going to focus on. They're easy, they're doable, and I guarantee it'll improve your very next conversation. Hi, I'm Jane and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. It really helps me see what you want to learn about. Conversations, they are part and parcel of every aspect of our lives. We cannot create a contact, a connection, or we cannot build a relationship or nurture it unless we have a conversation. It is the basis of every single relationship, whether it's social or professional. So it's in our favor to become really skilled in the art of conversation. Let's start off with the first premise, and we're going to look at it as to how we are going to create an environment in which a great conversation can take place. Okay? Quite simply, it starts with us. We need to be in a position, non-verbally and verbally, that we are doing everything right so that a great, authentic conversation can come about and be sustained. Very important. This is not a few seconds of small talk. This is a conversation. So let's jump right in. The most important thing is your body language. Remember, as I always say, before you open your mouth, your body language speaks volumes, whether it's expression on your face, your hand gestures, your posture, that's setting the tone. So the first thing we're going to do is, as the listener, we are going to make very good eye contact with the speaker. We've always been in a situation where we're speaking to somebody and they're looking slightly over our shoulder, everything happening around us. We've also been in conversations with people where they're sitting looking at the device. We don't want to be those people. So when you are the listener, make strong eye contact with the speaker. That's number 1. The second one can be used sparingly, and that is to lean in ever so slightly, physically lean in. Studies show that when we are in the presence of something attractive or delightful, the smell of baked bread, a beautiful flower, a lovely photo, we lean in to get more of it. So during the conversation, when the other person says something that you truly find impactful or you want to encourage them to speak about it a little more, simply lean in a bit. Use it sparingly. The next one is the open body posture. I've spoken about this before. Always in a conversation, have this part of your body, waist to head, shoulder to shoulder, open. Yes, I know we have to sit behind desks or tables or dining room tables to talk to people, but if it's waist down, it's fine. But if at all possible, angle yourself so your shoulder directly opposite shoulder of them, head in line with them. This creates the most dynamic and open method of having a conversation. However, I know that there are circumstances where you're sitting alongside someone in a bus, a car, an airplane, a meeting room, whatever. If possible, try to angle yourself slightly, that you are looking at them, that your shoulders at least slightly angled towards them. If it's not possible, you're strapped into a car, obviously one would just turn one's head. But if this conversation matters and you want to encourage the person to keep speaking and open up to you, make sure this area is open to them. Avoid the folded arms, avoid the body cross thing like this. If you do it and you fall into that pattern, hold it for a second and then release. Always keep this open. The last area under this section is something I learned by tough experience. If I was listening to someone, I would frown. I didn't realize it made me look angry. So when you are having a conversation with someone and they're speaking, make sure you have just what I call the gentle countenance. Just have your face relaxed, maybe a soft smile, an occasional nod, nothing more than that. Make sure you're not frowning, glaring, pursing your lips, or doing anything that they could interpret as disagreement. On top of that, yes, under body language, I'm going to sneak in here soft verbalizations, as I call them. And that is the, oh, yes, wow, really, my goodness. These are just soft, encouraging words. You slide into the conversation. It should not interrupt the other person's train of thought or their speaking, but it's you saying, I'm with you, I'm here, I'm following you. Please keep speaking. Again, the environment. The second area we're going to look at, and this is so important, is active listening. Active listening is when you engage everything to pay attention to the other person. This matters because what we know about the other person helps us calibrate our response to meet them. So we need to be like detectives, like sleuths. So when they're speaking, number one, watch their body language. If you're at a networking event and the person says, oh, I really love these, but they're standing angled onto you with their feet facing the door, that's a pretty good indication they'd rather be somewhere else. So take all that in. It'll help you manage your response to them. Don't assume you know what they're talking about. Even if it's a subject with which you are familiar, try to remain open and curious. This will also stop you preparing the answer in your head of what you're going to say to them. So if the person starts talking about this amazing trip up Kilimanjaro, and you think, well, I've been up Kilimanjaro, I can talk about that, you'll pull back and start preparing your response, what you did getting up Kilimanjaro. So really try to work on remaining curious and open, even if it's a topic you know 1,000 times over, where your partner grew up. You've heard that story 1,000 times, or what the sales team did, at the offsite. Try to remain open and curious. The other person will feel that, and you'll learn something. Do look for overlaps when the other person is speaking. By overlaps, I simply mean areas in common. So if it is a novel conversation, they're talking about getting a new dog and you've never owned a pet before, try to listen to them in a way that you can find something that you can then build on when it's your opportunity to speak. So maybe you've never owned a dog, but you grew up on a farm and there were other animals there that you cared for. Anything you can find an overlap with, it'll help the conversation move forward. Now let's get to the part where we get to speak. When it's our turn to speak, do not hesitate to drop in a few compliments. Nothing saccharine-y, tipping sugar and honey all over them, nothing like that. But find an area you can acknowledge and then wrap it in a compliment. So the person who went up Kilimanjaro and took 6 months to plan the trip or whatever, you could say at the end, oh my goodness, I really admire that you took 6 months. 6 months to plan this trip. That shows such dedication and focus. People love that, and it keeps the conversation going. The next thing is open-ended questions. Remember, conversations are a back and forth. You need to aim for balance. So in the art of aiming for balance, when they've spoken, to keep the conversation going, if you don't have much to add, you want to draw more out of them, ask questions. And the easiest questions to ask are the ones we all learned in elementary, primary school. And those are who, what, when, where, why. Go back to the W questions. So instead of saying, well, do you think I should climb Kilimanjaro? Or would you get another dog? Rather go with, why did you pick Kilimanjaro? Where did the dog come from? Go with those questions. They're far more open-ended and will encourage the person to keep speaking. Now we're in a conversation. It works beautifully. The last thing I want to say, and you know this all, I've said it before, when it's your turn to respond to a question, always pause. Couple of seconds just to organize your thoughts, because that way you will sound so much more clear, eloquent, and you'll keep it concise if you've already got a little bit of planning about what you want to say. Now we get to how you're going to practice this. And this is not as bizarre as it sounds. Every single one of us have certain conversations that creep into our lives over and over again. For me, when I moved to the States, and even all these decades later, people will say to me, well, why did you come here? What did you like? What did you dislike? Whatever. So early on, I worked out a very simple little paragraph, a short few sentences that summed it up, that that I could answer the person and keep going, because otherwise you can speak for half an hour on a topic. So if you're at a new job, chances are a lot of people are going to say to you, where did you come from? Who are you working with now? Who's on your team? What do you do? Have a little précis, a little short version of that you can deliver. If you've got a new partner and you're meeting a new group of people, or you move to a new hometown, there's certain conversations you know are going to come up. So while you're cooking dinner, driving the car, just put a few of those sentences in place so you have an idea of how you can answer people, as I said, eloquently but concisely. Remember, the art of conversation is to build those connections and nurture those relationships, which is the basis of everything in our lives, both social and professional. So I urge you, try all these tips. I guarantee these techniques works. And as always, I will link to more videos up here that you can layer on your skills. And I look forward to seeing you next week.